India to set up International Solar Alliance. So he was part of the leadership team there. And then he went to Dalberg and is helping the world get better. Jagjeet, they'll be redoing the stuff. So with Jagjeet, we will be having Madhav ji. Madhav ji, we all know that he's a RSS ideologue. He was earlier BJP's General Secretary, then went back to RSS, and now he's part of BJP, and he's one of the best strategic minds we have. Shri Bhupinder Bhalla. Shri Bhupinder Bhalla ji was country's MNRE secretary. He not only reshaped country's MNRE policy, helped country in taking leaps into hydrogen as well. One of the best minds in the renewable energy space. So Jagjeet, now mic is yours, and we all hearing you. Thank you.
Thanks, Anilesh. And you can count on friends for introducing you in hyperboles and exaggerations. So thank you, Anilesh. You get an extra bottle of wine, at least for my introduction. Others are justified. Mine was, I think, I liked it. With that, let me, say a few words to set the context for this fireside chat. Given we are running a little late already, this is going to be a fire and fast chat. And both speakers here on the dais, they don't need introduction. I've known Madhav ji for about a decade and a half and have been following his writings, his views, his thinking. A truly visionary leader who, one thing which I don't know many people know, he has this habit of guiding, encouraging young thinkers, scholars, with giving writing opportunities, speaking opportunities, and through his India Foundation work. And I'm one of those fortunate, if I can call myself young, young practitioner and who has worked with India Foundation and followed the work and learned immensely. So Madhav ji, thank you very much for doing the work you do in various aspects. Bhalla ji, you had a long and distinguished career as a civil servant, and if I could put it this way, most inspiring work I've seen was at MNRE. Of course, you led work at Commerce Ministry and various other ministries. Given I was associated with ISA, everyone at ISA is full of praises for you. So, in addition to being a great bureaucrat, you are a great mentor and a friend to International Solar Alliance. So let me convey that thanks on their behalf to you. Now let's bring the fire and fast chat. Sir, I'll start with you, Madhav ji. The question I wanted to ask you is, are we ready for Atmanirbharta? Aren't there too many conflicting agendas we are loading? We want to be a Viksit Bharat. We want to be Atmanirbhar. We want all, green jobs, economic growth, managing our diversity, our poverty challenges, our environmental challenges, the freebies, the federal system, and everything loaded into democracy called Bharat. And can we aspire to become a developed nation and, if I could put it very crudely, not screw the environment and manage climate change? Can we actually do it?
Thank you, Jagjeet. But let me at the outset, thank you for your kind words of introduction, but no bottle of wine from me. Also, about whether you are young or not, don't worry. In India, at 55, also leaders pass off as young leaders. You are very, very much young, don't worry. On that very serious question, I just place it in very simple terms. Since you are focusing a lot on renewable energy, The target set by Honorable Prime Minister was 500 gigawatt. Right now we are at 187, maybe 190 gigawatt. That means in next 5 to 6 years, we have to add another 320 gigawatt. Take it as 300 gigawatt in 6 years. That means a minimum of 50 gigawatt we have to be able to produce in our country. And may I tell you, in 2024, I stand corrected, Honorable Secretary is here, we added only 25 gigawatt of renewable energy. So therein lies the real challenge in very simple terms. How do we achieve it? I put 4 points as 4 stages that are required for us to really become Atmanirbhar, and pending Atmanirbharta, trying to reach these goals that we set for ourselves. Number 1, education. Do we have an education system that is equipped to create necessary skills needed for renewable energy? Number 1 question. I would say no. Majority of our engineering colleges produce engineers who probably would not have seen a solar panel in their 5 years of education. One is education. Number 2, R&D. Again, very sad story. We may still say, in terms of figures, we are probably investing 0.6 or 0.65% of our GDP on renewable energy R&D. Where countries like US and China are spending about 2%, 2.5, 2.6%, but this number is deceptive. 2.5% of their GDP, not our GDP, which is 30 trillion, 20 trillion. We are 0.6% of our GDP, which is around 4 trillion. So second, I think, is on R&D, are we spending enough for us to become Atmanirbhar? Third, then comes the question of manufacturing of components. I'm not talking about the whole ecosystem, but on the manufacturing side, how much, challenges have been pointed out by Sri N.K. Singh ji, and before that, Mr. Suman Sinha and others also, whether the environment in the country is conducive to encouraging manufacturing freely. Can investments come into manufacturing of renewable energy products in this country? That's the third level. And fourth is productization. You know, the area of productization, are we ready for it? Productization in 2 things. You add renewable energy, and is our grid capable of taking it? If you tomorrow ready to produce 500 gigawatt, is our grid ready to take it? If you are ready to add 1 million EVs in this country, is our system ready to take 1 million EVs? Do you have enough recharging stations? Do you have the enough maintenance system in this country? So productization side also we need to work. If we look at these 4 stages and infuse required inputs into these 4 stages, I think then that whole dream of creating renewable energy, reaching those renewable energy targets and also probably achieving that Atmanirbharta will become a reality. So I think that these 4 stages, 4 areas are what we need to focus on much more to achieve these targets.
Thank you, Ram Madhavji, being very clear in the 4 areas where we need to focus. You know, it so happens that's how we have structured our agenda. Without you approving it, we read your mind, and we during the day are going to focus these issues, and the roundtables are also trying to tease out answers for these very, very important questions, which in some sense we circle around. We say we have so many engineers, there's that. Do we have workforce for actual manufacturing of these things while we missed the boat in the last, I would say, 2 decades?
No, you can ask the companies here. They ask for engineers to come, and most engineers learn about renewable energy technology on the field, not in their institutions. It's a real challenge for us. So I have a very important suggestion. Maybe this Secretary will probably not agree with me fully, but this whole business of subsidizing education probably has to stop. That is actually producing mediocres in our country. Maybe allow market forces, allow the companies to have their own educational infrastructure to come up, to develop renewable energy engineering as a discipline, to teach students about what is polysilicon wafer, how is it produced, I mean, of course, we don't produce it. But I'm saying on all these issues, can market forces be allowed to operate? Or we subsidize same institutions which are already producing mediocre students in other engineering areas to end up producing mediocres for renewable energy also? So certain things we have to think probably very revolutionary way, very out of the box, and probably allow some market forces to operate.
Thank you. Now we are getting to the fire we have been asked to bring to this discussion. We will have Honorable Secretary of MSD, the Minister for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, speaking at this forum in the afternoon. And this question would be posed to him as well, and I'm sure they would have a very solid, substantive plan. Sir, coming to you, Secretary Bhalla, you've been both a planner and an implementer at MNRE, and under your leadership, we saw various PLI schemes implement and the Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana and various other things. How would you respond to the questions Ram Madhavji is posing? How are we scoring? If you have to rank in Bharat on 1 to 5 on the four buckets of issues Ram Madhavji said, how would you score?
Thank you, Jagjeet. It's also a pleasure to be here and an honor to be part of the Bharat Climate Forum. I would partly endorse what Ram Madhavji has said. Partly, of course, I do differ a little bit, as he probably figured out. But, overall, I say we are, although, let me start by saying that, yes, we have achieved about 205 gigawatt of renewable energy currently. Our target is 500, but I also must clarify that we have about 250 gigawatts of projects under implementation. That means about 150 are actually under implementation, about 100 are indeed at the tender stage, which will, once the tenders are finalized, they will get into motion, and within 2 years, 2.5 years, or whatever it is, it should get done. So we have substantially raised the bar. You did mention that currently we would do about 25 gigawatt, but if you look at the earlier number was only about, last year we did only 15 gigawatt. So we are raising the bar, and we expect, my expectation is that we should do about 30 gigawatts in the current year, relative to 15 gigawatt in the last year. So we will double it up. It also takes time for you to kind of, enhance the numbers. We have, what we also did last year, as to really speeden it up, we said, okay, we will start bidding out 50 gigawatt of projects every year. And with the assumption that 50 gigawatt of bidding would lead to 50 gigawatt, if not 50, 40 gigawatt at least per annum of project implementation the next few years, every year. And if we do it for at least 5 years, we should get to that 500 number, which we want. Our intention is not to, in fact, wait till 2030. And my estimate would be that we should be reaching it much before 2030. Of course, we have some issues, but of course, these are more transmission issues rather than manufacturing issues per se. From the manufacturing angle, I would say that we are doing extremely well. Of course, as was mentioned in the inaugural session, we are not yet fully Atmanirbhar in manufacturing, but we are getting there. And we had to initially, if you recall, 10 years ago, we were nowhere in manufacturing, except for wind, of course. So wind was there. Wind, we have been in manufacturing sector for quite some time. But in solar, we actually started literally 10 years ago. And 5 years ago, we were again a very, very small marginal player. But in the last 5 years, it has the numbers have added have increased very substantially. Currently, I believe about 74 gigawatt of module capacity exists in the country per annum. Our requirement, as I mentioned, would be about 25 to 30 gigawatts in this year. It could rise to maybe 40 gigawatts next year. We have that sufficient capacity in India. Of course, that's only modules. So we have to add the cell, we have to create cell capacities, we have to create wafer, ingot wafer, we have to create polysilicon, and then we are able to get fully integrated capacities, where we would then count ourselves as totally Atmanirbhar. But I believe we are getting there. PLI scheme is I think, a game changer. Although currently the PLI scheme for solar PV module is not really, a lot of people say is not that successful, but I am quite sure, having been there in MNRE, it is going to be one of the most successful schemes of the government in PLI. And we are very confident. In wind sector, we already have about 18 gigawatt of capacity. Our current requirement is around about 8, 7, 8, 5, or this year it will be about 5, next year it could raise to 7 or 8. We have wind sector here. I think we have sufficient capacity. Of course, we have to start making for offshore wind, which will start, something, the ecosystem will start in a few years. So we are getting there. I'm very gung-ho about the RE sector, India as an RE player, and as an upcoming RE manufacturer, clean tech manufacturing. In solar, I think we are number 2 manufacturer of solar PV in the world right now. We are, and we will enhance. The world is looking at us as a reliable supply chain partner, as an alternative to China. And I think we should be able to get there. I think I'll stop here because of the time.
And thank you, Secretary Bhalla, for a clear kind of illustration of the plan and the achievements so far. You mentioned we are clearly number 2. This just reminded me of a chart I saw from the Bloomberg terminal. They say it's not even a race. Your first runner is way there, and second, third, fourth, you can call yourself whatever, but the first is 2 ahead of you, that it would be difficult to catch up. I'll let you respond to that, but before I go there, this number 1 player, and Madhavji, you have written a book on the country which is a leader in clean tech manufacturing. How we solve this conundrum of India plus many, some people during COVID called China plus strategy. How do we forge a partnership where, for the greater good of climate, we come together for economic welfare, green jobs, harmony, and we can add all the adjectives, but how we solve this conundrum? Thank you.
China is certainly for the industry today an opportunity, because we today get most of our renewable energy components from China at cheaper cost. So it's an opportunity today. But what is our vision? Do we want to be a dependent country? This whole romantic notion of Hindi chini bhai bhai of 50s. Should we bring it back and say that no, let us create a joint ecosystem? Or India, given its market size, given its intellectual potential, should attempt at rising as a big important player in this area? In that, probably our Prime Minister is very clear. We want, of course, good trade relations with China, or for that matter, any country. But India has to develop its own capability in all these areas. That's why I'm again emphasizing that while I fully appreciate the sentiment expressed by Honorable Secretary that we are doing very well. Of course, it's always we compare with ourselves, what we did last year, that we are doing very well. But look at what's happening elsewhere, where they are going. So in that, I think we need to reset our priorities, sometimes comparing with where others are going. There I'm saying our R&D in this area has to enormously go up. We don't discuss about semiconductors so much here. Or probably we are not even, I don't know if we are talking about carbon capture technologies here, which is very relevant to this topic. Where are we in the R&D in that sector? When I say R&D, I'm not putting that whole burden on the government. Globally, R&D, government only shares some amount of the burden, but majority of the R&D responsibility is shouldered by the private companies, the big corporations. Are we investing in India? Because our companies find importing a cheaper option than investing in R&D. So there was that issue about mindset in the morning, which is profitable. Simply import it cheaper rather than investing in R&D, then developing your own technology, superiority and all that. India has to do it where China beats us badly, not just as the whole world today. I'm not here to praise China, but I'm generally saying as a matter of fact, is in the area of technology. the technology superiority, the low-cost options that they develop in all these areas are actually taking over the markets everywhere. Can't we do that? We can. But again, I'm saying, we have to change the whole ecosystem right from this level of education. We are talking about skilled Prime Minister yesterday also spoke very passionately. There has been his passion that we need to create skilled India, skilled manpower in this country. But in skilling, in this particular sector, we still have huge skilling gaps. We need to invest in that. We need to invest in R&D. Without doing that, I'm afraid, obviously then we have to be goody-goody about China because we are dependent, 80% dependence on solar panels technology. So we have to be goody-goody about them. At some point, by 2030, that's what Prime Minister envisions, India should be able to become at least 60% self, in fact, Ashwini ji was mentioning about this, at least we can become 60%, 70%, 80% self-reliant, but that responsibility has to be shouldered by industry here. Today, government is doing the heavy lifting. Everything is being done by government. Government is investing in research. I mean, 1 lakh crores is given for National Research Foundation. Why should government spend that kind of monies? Why not industry spend? So in all these areas, industry, entrepreneurship, private equities, they have to come forward. Then we can create that kind of a strong ecosystem. There we can't compare with China. China is a government-led economy. We are not a, of course, government is important, but we are an economy where private players play a big role. So this is an important component which the private industry has to address in our country.
Thank you, Ram Madhavji. You rightly said, it's not just the financial, it's the economic and strategic interests and developing India as a developed nation which stands on its own feet rather than increasing dependency from oil, you shift to clean tech. Question to Secretary Bhalla. Sir, you've been at the planning helm on clean tech. The way we understood, there are multiple sectors, multiple schemes, multiple actors. Is there a need for something of a national mission to create, to push for clean tech manufacturing? I'm not arguing for putting two zeros behind the 8 billion we have given through various schemes, but would it help if we would have a national mission? And as I request you to respond, let me also recognize former Secretary MNRE, Shri Bhupinder Tripathi, who was in audience and was the first DG of ISA, and he also led some parts of National Solar Mission implementation. So just wanted to express our gratitude for his presence. With those words, Secretary Bhalla, your response, please.
Yeah, most of, let's look at clean tech manufacturing. I mean, it can have, of course, different component, as you know. MNRE is focusing, of course, on solar, wind, and its components. Battery storage is currently looked after by Ministry of Heavy Industries, as you know. Of course, MNRE and MHI together are have worked out how to come out with the next phase of PLI, which from MHI for the battery storage solutions for utility applications, utility scale. But of course, then you have, of course, the EV. EVs itself is also one aspect where other ministries, of course, MHI kind of leads it, but you have other ministries also involved, other bodies also involved. I think we have also been, I mean, you have to answer specifically to your question, a national mission has usually always been, brings about much better impact, a much faster impact than different agencies working independently, even if they are coordinating. The National Solar Mission, for example, it kind of started the solar revolution in India. Of course, it brought, I mean, largely it was led by MNRE only, but of course there were other bodies also involved. I think a national mission which encompasses on clean tech manufacturing would be helpful. It would take care of all the other new aspects and new technologies which are coming in. Of course, I must compliment Mr. Ram Madhavji. R&D is very, very important. And in fact, we under the R&D components of MNRE, of course, but you have R&D components in the Department of Science and Technology. You have CSIR doing a lot of stuff. Then you have DRDO, you have other ISRO. There's so many other organizations we do. if all the R&D of clean tech manufacturing also comes under the national mission for clean tech manufacturing, that would be very helpful. I think it would really speeden up the impact on how we progress.
Absolutely an important imperative that we should have a national mission. N.K. Singh Saab proposed about it. But I would only suggest, sir, that mission should have industry in it, maybe led by industry. You know, we have one, don't take it as a criticism, we have a habit that we create a mission, fill it up with the secretaries of 4 departments. Please have them. We need bureaucracy there, but not just bureaucracy alone. Let there be, if you recall, when Prime Minister first formed the National Skill Mission, it was headed by Ram Durai, sir. I mean, somebody who understands from the industry side also the importance of, and then secretary was a senior bureaucrat in that mission, I know. So something where our industry, our investor community is also an important partner. That kind of a mission we have to create so that, you know, as you rightly said, there is a lot of push from the government, but somewhere the synergy has to be increased more so that we achieve those goals.
Let me just add, just to give you an example,
Please.
to Mr. Madhavji. The national, no, this is just to, I have totally endorsed what he's saying. In fact, this is a new, I would think, this is kind of a new way of thinking from the government also. Under the National Green Hydrogen Mission, which we started, there's no empowered group of secretaries. There is an empowered group. And why it was changed was because we have industry members as part of the empowered group. Probably for the first time, you have a mission kind of thing where the industry is an actual partner in all the decisions which are being taken.
Well, this is brilliant. We have 2 clear recommendations from this fireside chat from 2 eminent thinkers and practitioners. And with that, let me, with a round of applause, thank our speakers for this fireside chat. And thank you, audience, for listening patiently, and I'm sure absorbing these ideas and would help us take this forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jagjeet. Thank you very much. There is a requirement for a group photo. And as a token of appreciation, we also wanted to gift you 2 books, or 1 book, Fossil Free, authored by Suman Sinha. Just Jagjeet, 1 minute, yeah. Book. Sir, sorry, we'll. I think there is some. Yes, sir, sorry. So let's proceed with the next session.